Hello, everyone. It's your host, Get Good Fox, and I'm here with more State of Decay 2 news. Well, more specifically, State of Decay 2 beta news. I'm going to tell you everything that we know about the newly announced Plague territory. But first, a word from Jeffrey Card.
If you are an Xbox or a player, or you've been playing, sort of a Windows Store version of the game, we haven't got an open beta yet for you. Though it is going to be open. That means people can share information about it. They can stream it live. They can, they can share anything that they discover about the game. And so you will be still, up on the news about what's going on. And if you're actually, if you really want to sort of push us to extend this beta into other platforms, just let us know. Talk to us on social media. Make some noise and.
Well, and you heard it from him. If you want to see the beta on other platforms, get into contact with Undead Labs on whatever social media elements you have at your disposal. Anyways, let's get started. This will mainly be audio, so you can just kind of listen to this like a podcast, but there will be a few visual aids, but don't worry, I will tell you when it's time to look at the screen in case you want to see what I'm talking about. Now, for the big points right off the bat, still no release date on the beta. Undead Labs has said that it will come out soon, but hey, soon is an ambiguous term, so no idea. Now, this Plague territory stuff that we're going to be talking about in this video, it will be in the beta as soon as it comes out, and apparently next week they're going to be releasing even more information, and they did imply that it also will be in the beta immediately, so stay tuned. And that segues us right into the big question of what is Plague territory? And well, it's a new mechanic that is created by Plague Hearts, and these have to be brand new Plague Hearts. When the game is eventually updated to include this new Plague territory mechanic, you won't actually see it on any pre-existing Plague Hearts, meaning you'll either have to start a new community or change maps or change your map difficulty, which would force a map reset. In other words, this new mechanic will only be implemented on fresh, brand new maps, and it actually will not be applied to the Heartland DLC at all. So no Plague territory on any Heartland Plague Hearts. Now, the way you can think of Plague territory is I think of it as kind of like zombie safe zone. Like when you capture an outpost, it creates a safe zone for you. Well, Plague territory is basically like safe zone for zombies. Or maybe you could think of it as anti-safe zone. The Plague territory is basically an area of greater danger and greater hardship and inconvenience to you. And just like how you can create safe zones by creating outposts, you can get rid of Plague territory by destroying a Plague Heart. And if you look on screen, you'll get to see exactly what this new Plague territory is going to look like on the map. But that doesn't really answer the question, what exactly does the Plague territory do? And if I may have your attention again to the screenshot, you can see that he cannot claim this house as an outpost because site not secure, Plague territory. And here are the effects of what the Plague territory does. You cannot secure any building that is inside Plague territory. Remember that securing a building means exploring every single room and killing every single zombie, which will then create a safe zone that blocks additional zombie spawns. The consequence of this means, well, you cannot make outposts inside Plague territory, and you cannot claim new bases inside of Plague territory. You also cannot prevent zombies from spawning if they feel like it inside of buildings, since you can't secure it. And since you can't secure buildings, that means you cannot force the items to appear so that you can see the loot through the walls. However, if you have the scouting skill, you can force that through the skill to occur. And it does mean that just because a building is in Plague territory does not mean you cannot loot it. And now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, this is going to change some of the State of Decay 2 meta. If you liked to do the strategy where you set up an outpost right next to a Plague Heart, especially on the lethal zone, and the outpost, the safe area, would block additional zombies from spawning that would then come to protect the Plague Art that you're now going to kill. Well, that's just not going to work anymore because the Plague Art will prevent you from just setting up any outpost anywhere even close to it. But wait, there's more. Plague territory also makes it physically more dangerous for you as well, because all regular zombies will be blood plague zombies inside of plague territory. Remember, this is just regular zombies, so it's not going to be like blood ferals in standard zone just because one of them happened to be in plague territory. They also will infect you with more blood plague infection when they cause damage to you. Apparently, it's not a very big increase, so it probably won't be very noticeable except on the lethal zone. And in addition to that, the Plague Heart's ability to kind of create those patrols of blood plague guardians, little like hordes that patrol around the Plague Heart, that is going to be expanded to all of the territory that the Heart is creating. Now, that's the big deal about plague territory, but here are some interesting notes. Undead Labs has decided to normalize the amount of plague hearts per difficulty in the game, and that includes whether you do a random start, import character start, or tutorial start. There's no longer going to be like this sort of range of like, is there going to be somewhere between 8 and 12 hearts? It's always going to be a consistent number, though the number will still be higher if you play on a higher difficulty. And the way this is going to relate to plague territory, if I could have your attention please, here is the map on Lethal Zone, and you'll see that most of the map has already been consumed by the plague hearts, whereas if you look at this map, which is a green zone map, you'll see most of the map is not controlled by plague hearts extending their plague territory. But on top of this, Undead Labs has also revamped the locations where plague hearts spawn, and they have moved them in a more strategic way where they are blocking very popular outposts and really good bases, so that if you want them, you'll have to clear the hearts first. Now, on Nightmare Zone and Lethal Zone, there is a rule that plague hearts are hidden, and the way it works now is they're still hidden, but when you enter into the plague territory, that is supposed to reveal the heart. However, they're not completely sold on the idea, and they're looking for feedback on if they think that is too easy or too hard. One of the interesting changes to Plague Hearts, if I might have your attention, please, you'll see here that the screenshot shows that the Plague Heart is actually telling you which type of rucksack is going to be inside of it. So that means now, if you specifically are looking for materials, you'll be able to see which Plague Hearts will give you a rucksack of materials for destroying them. This does not mean that the quality of the loot from a Plague Heart has been changed. It's still going to be the same, though it does mean that all of the Plague Hearts have predetermined loot as soon as the game is generated, rather than loot being generated at the time of the Plague Heart's death. In addition to all this, the Plague Territory is actually going to have some of its own artwork. There's going to be this kind of weird plague particle stuff in the air, and it's going to become thicker and heavier and more intense as you get closer to the Plague Heart itself. Anyways, let's wrap things up with other interesting information. So, enclaves and traders, they are allowed to spawn inside of plague territory, and the devs said that this doesn't really mean anything at the moment, but they are curious about whether it should mean something, perhaps a change in the future. They also said that they're not entirely sure how Steam will track achievement progress in the beta. It seems like you will be able to earn achievements, but it may not carry over an achievement that is partially complete. There's also a bunch of new map icons, so glue your eyes on the screen if you want to see them. Here is the icon for an infestation, for the bounty broker, for ordinary locations affected by plague territory, for this new thing called a valuable location, which I will talk about at the end of the video, and for enclaves. One of the questions that Undead Labs answered was if the plague territory would grow over time, and the answer is currently no. And they were debating this idea, but they're still more on the side of no than yes, but that doesn't mean it's off the table. But here is something rather interesting. There are specific places called valuable locations. I'm not sure if that's going to be the official name or a placeholder. That's just what they called it on stream. And if you look at this screenshot, dear audience, you will see that this outpost, not only does it have a distinctive icon, but it also says upgradable outpost. Oh my, it says you can learn a skill through this outpost if you upgrade it. Unfortunately, they are not interested in talking about what this outpost does or what these valuable locations are about, but it seems like it's very likely that they will be the subject of next week's stream. So I guess we won't know for sure until then. But hey, now you know all there is to know about the Plague territory. Stay tuned next week because I will condense another one of their new streams for your listening enjoyment. But let me know down in the comment section, what do you think? Are you interested in the Plague territory? Did this kind of like dunk on your strategy to set up an outpost to kill the Plague Hearts on Lethal Zone? Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and leave Undead Labs a comment on their social media if you want to see the beta on other platforms outside of Steam. Anyways, like the video if it was informative, subscribe for future State of Decay 2 content. Of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.